say you want diamonds and a ring of gold. You say you want your story to remain untold, but all the promises we made, from the cradle to the grave, when all I want is you. Hey, how you doing? Justin here. Today we are checking out the classic U2 hit, All I Want Is You. Now this has got some really cool things in it going on. It starts with a really simple A chord to D chord, nice bit of palm muting and some accenting, which is a really cool thing to learn. We've got a bit of F sharp minor bar chord action, okay? But I can simplify it for beginners. There's a couple of ways to simplify it. We can either play it as a power chord, or we can do the top part of the F sharp minor, which makes it a lot simpler. So don't be scared off, beginners, by that horrible chord. And then it's got that really nice use of the A sus2 and the D sus2 as well in the little bit complicated strumming for that little part, but it's such a nice tune to play. And if you really want to simplify it, like really simplify it, you can actually bring it down to just the A and the D chord, but we'll talk a bit more about that in a second. So the basic structure for the song is 1 bar of A, 1 bar of D, 1 bar of A, 1 bar of D, occasionally swapping out the A chord for the F sharp minor. So let's just look through a really kind of simplified version. So we got an A chord, intro, this is, to D. And I've just simplified it to 4 down strums in the bar, right? We'll talk about all of those other fancier rhythm things in a second. So then we got the verse, U, A, U, D, A chord and a ring of D, U, A, and U, D, your A chord to remain on D, and then to F sharp minor. I'm going to show you some cheats for this in a second, to D, and then we're back to the F sharp minor 7, or F sharp minor actually just to D, and then A to D, to the riff, which is just an A chord, going to D, back to A, and back to D. Okay, so the first thing I want to explain, it's kind of oversimplifying it, but to tell the truth, it's how I learned it. I learned it just using my ears or whatever, you know, when I was a teenager or early teens, and I didn't hear the F sharp chord. I just thought it was an A chord, and actually you can kind of get away with playing just a regular A chord, or even better, instead of playing like a regular A, if you bar your little A. So instead of just using a regular A chord like this, you could either add your little finger on the thinner string, or use a little bar with the first finger. That's actually what I thought it was. I thought it was a promises we made, from the cradle to the grave. And the reason you can kind of get away with that is that an A chord and an F sharp minor 7 chord are very similar. Okay, in fact, all of the notes in an A chord are contained in an F sharp minor 7 chord. So that's the way I played it wrongly for a long time. If you're going to get into doing the palm muting thing, which I think sounds really cool in this song, I definitely recommend that you play an F sharp power chord there, right? Don't worry about playing an F sharp minor or any of that. Just an F sharp power chord, the thickest 3 strings. Okay, it's not a difficult one. First finger, 2nd fret of the thickest string, 3rd finger, 4th fret of the 5th string, little finger underneath it, 4th fret of the 4th string, okay? It's your F sharp power chord. But let's go through and talk now about this palm muting thing, because it sounds really great. What you're going to be doing is using the outside part of your hand to just lightly rest on the strings. And you're going to do 8 down strums in the bar. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's how you want to start off, okay? Just all doing down strums, starting on the 5th string. And you're not even, my pick isn't getting as far as the thinnest couple of strings, okay? Maybe it's reaching the 2nd string sometimes, but not very often. And try and get used to where you have to put the mute, because if you do too much, you just end up with nothing. And if you don't have any at all, you just get a normal chord. So experiment with where, how far toward the sound hole you're going to put your hand. It works on electric guitar as well, by the way. So it's just going to be literally just on the bridge. You should feel the strings kind of vibrate under your hand. So the first step is just to get 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Just start with just staying on the A chord, right? Get used to the feeling of that palm mute. But really what makes it work properly in this song is the accents. And the accents are coming on beat 1, the and after 2 and 4. So you end up with this 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And all I'm doing is putting a little bit more palm mute, like pressing my palm mute down a little harder and picking a bit harder as well. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. It's a really, really nice groove to get into doing this palm mute with the accent. You say you D, back to diamonds in a ring of D, back to A, to D. You can hear the way the accents make it work. And then you got the F sharp to the D, back to F sharp and back to D, to A, to D, to the riff. Now, what's really interesting here is that you have to kind of move where the pick is picking from. So for the A chord, it's just picking from the 5th string. On the D chord, it's just picking from the 4th string. Back to the A, the pick is just going from the 5th string, then just from the 4th string. On the F sharp, it's just playing the thickest 3 strings, and then on the D, it's playing from the 4th string, so 4th string, 3rd string, 2nd string. Okay, so you've got to learn a little bit of pick control here to do this palm muting thing, but it's not difficult. All of these things, they might feel difficult when you first learn them, it's because they're new. If you haven't done it before, it's difficult. I'm not very good at ice skating because I don't go ice skating very often, so it's really difficult for me. Anything that you do that's new is difficult, but a little bit of practice, same as if I went ice skating every week, I'm sure in a few months I'd probably be able to stand up, maybe even go backwards. It's exactly the same for you. If you're finding this accent and the palm mute and all of that stuff difficult if it's new, it just needs a little bit of practice, that's it. So don't be scared of these things if they seem a little bit complicated at first. There's a few different approaches to playing the kind of riff in this song. The original one has an acoustic guitar part doing some strumming and then an electric guitar over the top, which is kind of accenting the melody. So combining those two things can be a little bit tricky. There's a simplified version, which is what I played for a long time, which is this. And that's kind of what I'd recommend that you start off with. And we're using all down strums, going A, sus, and now it's actually sus2, which means we've got a regular A chord and I'm lifting off my 3rd finger, okay? But in order to facilitate me actually counting it out loud for you, I'm just going to call it sus, okay? So when I say sus, I mean A, sus2, okay? So the rhythm and the count for it will be A, sus, A, D, 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 sus, sus, D, A, sus, A, D, 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 sus, sus, D, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And that works really well. I think that's a really nice way of kind of playing that riff. You can quite clearly hear the kind of the melody there. If you're going to get into doing it a more fancy way, all we're doing really is adding up strums to that. Okay, so it's exactly the same here. Here's the fancy one. If you were just watching my hand, if you turned the sound off, this if I'm doing the downs, just the downs or the down and the ups, the hand is moving the same. And that's really, really the big key when you start getting into these more complicated strumming patterns, is realizing that the hand's going to keep moving all the time. If you want to get into playing this riff using 16th notes, you're going to have to learn to count it, I suspect. It's a lot easier to see it written down. The first step is to learn the basic count, again, muting up the guitar and being able to do the right strumming, which is going to be this down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up. Okay, and then it's repeated again for the D chord. I'll give you the 16th note count. Again, if you're a beginner, please don't get scared off by this 16th note counting. I know it sounds like algebra gone wrong in a musical context. It's not as bad, when you get to it, if you've learned, built a solid foundation of rhythm and you understand what's going on. It's nowhere near as bad as it would seem now if you're a beginner and you're looking at this going, oh my God, what's he talking about? But it'd be 1 E and a 2 and 3 E and 4 and a 1 and a 2 and 3 E and 4 and a 1 and a 2 and 3 E and 4 and a down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up. Okay, that's the pattern. So the first thing that you want to get down is that. Then on the A chord, you've got your sus chord happening on beat 2, the and after 3, and the and after 4. 1 E and a 2 and 3 E and 4 and up. Okay, it's pretty complicated. One more time, nice and slowly, but I'm not going to dwell on this too much. 1 E and a 2 and 3 E and 4 and up. Okay, then we change to the D. On the D chord, we just have the sus chord appearing on the and after 2 and all of beat 3. So we end up with 1 E and a 2 and 3 E and 4 and up. Again, 1 E and a 2 and 3 E and 4 and up. Okay, those two together. It's so much more complicated. It feels like it, trying to do it really slowly. The best thing with these kind of tunes is just listening again, knowing that it's an A chord, and you're going to lift off for the sus chord on both the A and the D, and then just listening a lot. That's how I learned to play these sort of songs, was just, I knew an A chord, and then, I don't know if somebody told me or if I figured it out by myself, I can't remember, but I remember lifting off that finger and going, oh, that's that song, and then just trying to figure it out by ear. And I know that many guitar players these days are used to getting shown everything and not learning stuff themselves by ear, but it's such a really good skill to be able to do. And a song like this, it's a really interesting one because it starts real simple. It can be a real beginner song, but then if you're going to get it to the really nail it and make it like the original version, it's a little bit more complicated than that. And there's other things going in as well, other parts, the classic delay kind of parts by the edge, the sort of thing he's famous for. There's other layers to it as well. But I think I'm going to leave it there for this one. Hopefully I haven't given you a brain hemorrhage with all of this talk of 16th note strumming, and I hope you get to enjoy the tune. I haven't just freaked you out. Yeah, you take care of yourselves. I'll see you for plenty more songs and lessons very soon. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.